Rightio guys, so we're ready to paint, well just about ready to paint. So I've ordered the paint in today. I also got some 1K rub through primer, just because there was a couple of little bare metal spots that you can't go and paint straight over bare metal. Well, you shouldn't at least anyway. So I went and got a little bit of this stuff here. So that's just a mid-grey, sort of the same color as the lid there. I thought that's probably going to be the most useful color. Not just for this job, but for other jobs in the future. So as you can see here, I just put a little bit over the bare metal there. I'm going to give that a very light scuff down with a piece of 1000 grit. You can see there, I must have just nicked through to a bit of bare metal here and there. But apart from that, we're just about ready to go. I did actually get this filter here as well. And I do have to sort something out with this. I'm just going to do something temporary for now. So this thing here, this is an activated carbon, or yeah, what is it? It's on the side here. So I'll give you a look at exactly what it says here. Bison filters, and I think I did actually show that. So if you go to that website, Bison filters, type in APF 445, that's what'll get you there. But I've got a pre-filter, so we really want to keep that one clean. We want to keep the black filter clean, and this is kind of like the sacrificial one that will catch the particles. So I'm going to open this up and just do, as I say, something temporary. I think what, so the guy that actually owns this car, he does furniture polishing at home. What he was saying is that what you could nearly even do is like flip that down here, cut a hole in here. I was thinking I could even raise this up to around here and make that whole thing into a bit of a filter box. So that could, it could draw, you could have your front filter here behind some mesh or in front of some mesh. And then it goes up through this second filter here. So that's something that I'm going to have to do when I get a little bit of time, but for now I'm just going to wrap that in a pre-filter, get it in front of that and start painting, because I just got to get there and get this thing painted. Rightio guys, let's do this. So I just quickly threw that filter up there and I'm ready to go. So the paint that I'm using is the PPG's 2K line, and I must admit it actually seems to go down nicer than the clear coat that I use on the daily at work. For whatever reason, like I use the PPG LVC 136 clear coat at work, which is identical to the D8173 for anyone in the rest of the world. I reckon they've like literally copied it, but they've just, you know, released the 136 here in Australia just to be different. But either way, like both of those clears, I find them really orange peely. Like you have to put so much thinners in them just to get them to go half glassy, but like there's no flow out of it. Like most clears that I've ever used, you'll put it down and then it will move a little bit, you know what I mean? But this LVC 136, it doesn't move at all. So the best I've found I'm able to do is put a little bit of slow reducer instead of medium or fast. But even then, as I say, like I'm really not that happy with the PPG clear coats. So yeah, I actually reckon this 2K is better than using the PPG clear. Like you can probably tell already from the reflections that it's kind of, you know, it's going down nice and flat. It's also covering nice and good. So yeah, I'm not going to be including the entire painting stage for this video here. Just enough to you guys to get the basic idea of what's going on. I just decided to cut part of the second coat out, and that's just to stop the video from getting too long. But as it turned out, that filter's doing a pretty good job. It's not quite perfect yet. Like I did go out after I painted, and even in between coats I went out to see if there was any fumes outside, and there was a little bit. Like it wasn't that bad, to be honest. but there was a little bit out there, so I'm actually going to be doing some more mods to that filtering system that I've got there. So it's, as I said before, it's like an activated carbon filter, but what I'm going to do is get like another filter pod on the exhaust. So I'm going to kind of basically leave the inlet like that to a point, but then I'm actually going to get another filter on that on the way out. So as I say, I'll be doing a video on that, so be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. But the gun that I'm using is the DeVille's Pro Light 1.3mm fluid tip and T110. I found that a really good setup for use for spraying at home, because the T110 requires minimal volume of air. It's a LVLP, but the 1.3 still pumps out enough liquid or enough fluid. So this is where we're at the next day after painting the roof here, and I'm pretty happy with how it's looking so far. Nice glassy look, as you can see there, like nice reflections out of the lights. And yeah, look, the owner's going to be very happy, I can tell. He wasn't looking for perfection and he didn't get it, but he's gone and got himself a nice tidy looking paint job. I fixed obviously all of those dents, so those are all freebies, so he should be very happy with it. As I look a little bit closer, it did sort of haze off just a little bit. You can probably see as in the light there, it's kind of hazed off a little bit. I put a little bit of paint rocket, which is like an accelerator in it, and that's probably why it's done that. So I will just get the buff and just give it a bit of a shine up. I'm probably not going to get too concerned with any D-nibs. Down here, it hasn't seemed to have hazed off as bad, so maybe it's a slight bit of solvent boil. Maybe I went a little bit heavy too early there. But in saying that, I might actually sand these flat sections here, because you know they're more visible. You know, like it's head height. Like my head height, I'll just give you guys a look at that. My head height's about here, so you like eye level is actually just below that roof. So it's not the kind of thing that you see a great deal of. So yeah, it should be all good. Anyway, next thing, unmask it and yeah, get the buff out, because this job here is a cut and polish all over. And I'm not going to complain, because recently I went and bought myself a fancy new polisher. It's kind of buried down there, but it's a Flex. This thing is a high-end, oh there it is, it's not buried too far. So a high-end buff, this thing, worth about $900. I did buy this one myself. I got a good deal from Sonax Australia, but yeah, awesome bit of kit. I've used this a couple of times already, and it's quiet, and the torque in this thing is incredible. I actually buffed my sister's car up with this thing, and I was very impressed with it. Anyway, before I do the polishing, obviously, as I say, we've got to do the unmasking, and then I'll run around and put some bits of tape around the edges so I don't burn it with the buffer. I thought I'd give you guys a quick look at this little tool in action. This is another new favorite of mine. It's one that I was actually a little bit let down by when I first got it, because it wasn't quite what I was expecting. But as soon as I did this job here, the full cut and polish all over, I kind of fallen in love with it. So yeah, again, it's another expensive tool, but it's a multiple use tool. So it's a polisher, but you can swap out the different orbital heads. So you can go like a large orbit, a small orbit, and you can actually go rotary as well. You can get loads of different attachments for it as well, so you can get like long neck attachments for it. If I had have had the pads, I would have been able to get that little polisher up into these kind of areas, and I wouldn't have had to do it by hand. But for now, I actually don't have all of the pads, so I'm gonna have to get a few of those things. But look, to be honest, it's more of a detailer's tool. So that's probably why I was a little bit let down by it at the very start. But yeah, after doing this full cut and polish all over, I've kind of fallen in love with it, and yeah, it's a good little tool. Again, I thought I'd just give you guys a quick look at that Flex rotary buff in action. I think I'll be doing a review on both of these tools. So as always, be sure to subscribe if you're not already. Rightio guys, so it's been a big day on the buff today, and this Navara is coming up pretty good, but to be honest, because it's direct gloss, so it doesn't have clear coat over the top of it, it definitely hasn't come up as good as most cut and polishes do. So this here has been done in clear coat. You can just tell by looking at it, and like, I don't know if you guys can see that on the video, but the depth and the gloss out of that is just far superior. There's only so much you can sort of seem to do with that direct gloss. Like, I buffed and buffed and buffed, and I did a two-stage polish on this as well, and it just didn't come out as good as what I would have liked. But either way, I used my awesome new Flex buff there. For most of it, I used the Cut Max, which is a very clean compound, so it doesn't create dust. So I haven't washed this car with like a bucket of water or anything, and haven't needed to. So I just did it all dry. I did it with microfiber cloths. I used a bit of the plastic rejuvenator around there, wiped the windows down, and that was about it. But for that bonnet, because it was a bit harder hit, I did hit it with the Ultimate Cut there. So that's the slightly coarser compound there. And I actually did give, which one was it? The 0505. I gave that a crack as well. That was for the second stage. So that's with the dual action. So I was looking at that, and it's actually designed for use with the dual action. So I thought, why not use that? So that was obviously with the big one here. I just ran down the sides and over the bonnet with that for the second stage. But one thing that really came in handy, originally I was a little bit let down by this tool because I was expecting more on the side of like a mini rotary polisher, but either way, the long and the short of it was actually, you can see it's done a lot of work just by the color of that pad. It's actually really handy. Like sometimes you might not be able to fit your full size buff into here, but you get that, and that's I've actually been using that on a dual action. So as you can see here, that's dual action. So that's yeah, orbital. I use that all around here, and so obviously I took these off the tarp, and then I was able to use that all around those little tight spots, around spots like this, even around that rear bumper as well. I did give the chrome a bit of a polish up. I did polish the roof a little bit, but I just buffed it. Like I didn't denib it because I don't know, it's one of those things that I did actually tell the owner of this car. I said, like, just be realistic what your expectations are, and he said, look, I'm not expecting perfect. So if it had been something like that bonnet where you'd be able to for starters see it, like this is actually above eye level, so like eye level's kind of about here on this car, and second, like because you've got these ribs here, if you look, like there's no way I'm going to be sitting there sounding, I mean you could do it, but it's just for the kind of car that it is and the kind of job that he's looking for, it's a little bit excessive to do that. But I did lose a bit of gloss from like solvent oil or something like that. I think partly I actually used a bit of paint rocket, which is like an accelerator, which makes the paint go off quicker because I don't have a great deal of heat in here. But yeah, I think that's a bit of the two is why it's sort of solvent boiled. But I did give it a buff up, just a hard buff in, but I didn't denib it. Although I did actually here, I denibbed it. Like I gave it a quick sand back with some 2000. I denibbed here and the same spot on the other side. So, you know, like it looks respectable and neat, but as I say, it's not perfect. Yeah, I just thought, you know what, my time would be better off spent doing more detailing, cleaning and polish on the rest of the car rather than making that roof look sort of like dead flat and perfect, which as I say, I could have done. But look, the closer you get to it, you will see, like there's lots of little nibs in it, you know, like, yeah, there's just nibs all through it. But at the end of the day, it's a nice, neat, shiny coat of paint. It's not flaking anymore. I did actually go around and do all the touch-ups on it as well. So look, all in all, it's looking nice and tidy. So yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to drive this around. And one thing that I've told him, I said, man, you got to go get yourself like a sealant or like a spray wax, something like that. And you know, once every month or something, when you wash your car, put a bit of the spray sealant over it, and it sort of, yeah, as I say, like just seals up all the little imperfections and scratches. But what he's got now is something that he can maintain, and I've told him how to maintain it. I said, look, ultimately, if you maintain this properly, it should stay like this by all rights. You know, I think that's a big part of the reason why some people's cars get so bad is because they don't wash them, they don't put like spray sealants or waxes over them, or even just give it a hand wax often enough. So yeah, there's a few different ones there. There's a couple I like. I actually quite like this one, the Meguiar's hybrid ceramic wax. I'm going to send him a link to that and tell him how to use it. It's really easy. I've got loads. There's another one I've got here which I actually quite like, but it's not paint shop safe, so it's like spray and seal. I was reading on the back of this one that it actually has silicone in it. So this actually makes your car look better than the Meguiar's, but it does that by just covering your car in silicone. But basically, like what I was telling, what it does, like your paint, like the finish of your paint, each time you wash it or each time anything sits on it and you clean it off, you're creating like these little imperfections in the finish. And what these sealants do, they fill that in so that next time something lands on top of it, you've got that little barrier in between the dirt and the car, so it doesn't actually sort of start getting grained in and then causing damage to your paint. That's why I'm a big fan of them. And yeah, even if you just do it once a month or something like that, even if it's once every 2 months, you know, if you're not, like I wash my car every week. But anyway, I'm starting to rant on the detailing products, but I do quite enjoy doing the maintenance on the paint. And I think that if people did a bit better maintenance, there'd be less need for full cut and polishes, or what the details like to call a paint correction. I do kind of take the piss out of the details sometimes, because for my entire life it's been called a cut and polish, and until the day I die it's going to be called a cut and polish. You can come in and try and call it a paint correction all you like, but it's called a cut and polish, mate. I mean, look, yeah, D-nibs are D-nibs, you know, that's what I did here. As I say, like I just gave that a quick sand down. You can't really see. I've turned my lights off. I do actually have these side lights as well, but yeah, so we're doing very well. I do actually, one of his flares knocked off, so I'm gonna actually, I just remembered the one on the other side, he knocked it off. So I will give that a cut and polish for him, so that when he finally gets it back on, it'll be nice and shiny like the rest of the car. But anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed this little video. I've enjoyed making it, and I don't see why I can't do these kind of videos for all of the future projects that I do in this garage. I'm going to be doing some update videos on the fan, the extraction fan. I actually have to do some mods to that. I've got a few ideas and I've got some products on the way, so that's some videos to come. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. So this is it after a good cut and polish, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it came up. The owner was very happy with how it came up when he came and saw it too. So thanks again for following this series, and be sure to subscribe if you're not already, because yeah, there's going to be plenty more to come. So I'm glad that I did fix those dents in the roof, albeit just a quick fix, you know. Yeah, you know, the old OCD painter type thing. Don't like painting over damage. Anyway, guys, until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested.